Dr. Emily Sullivan's breath frosted in the thin Martian air as she studied the peculiar markings etched into the metallic chamber wall. The archaeological dig site, nestled deep within Valles Marineris, had already yielded a treasure trove of artifacts that defied conventional explanation. But this was different. Dr. Sullivan, her assistant, James Cooper, called out from the adjacent chamber. "We've got something you need to see." She straightened, her joints protesting after hours of careful excavation. The year was 5247 CE, and humanity had spread throughout the solar system. Yet their greatest discovery still came from digging in the red dirt of Mars. The irony wasn't lost on her. The chamber Cooper had been working in was smaller than the others, its walls lined with what appeared to be data storage units far more advanced than anything humanity had developed. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, its surface now cleared of centuries of dust and debris. A soft blue light pulsed from within a crystalline structure at its apex. "It activated as soon as we finished cleaning it," Cooper explained, his voice trembling with excitement. "The energy readings are, well, they're off the charts." Emily approached carefully, her augmented eyes automatically scanning and recording everything they saw. The crystal seemed to respond to her presence, its pulsing quickening as she drew near. "Get me a direct neural link," she ordered, already pulling her interface kit from her belt, "and inform command that we got a Priority 1 discovery." "Ma'am, protocol states." "Protocol can wait, James. This is what we've been looking for." As her neural interface connected with the crystal, Emily's world exploded into light and information. What she saw made her blood run cold. First Contact Protocol, Species 7249, Humanity. Classification, Quarantine Status. Threat Level, Extreme. Duration, Indefinite. Images and data streamed through her mind. Alien ships in Earth's orbit during humanity's Bronze Age, sophisticated monitoring systems tracking human development, and most disturbing of all, carefully orchestrated interventions designed to keep humanity confined to their planet. The Cosmic Alliance, a confederation of species spanning thousands of systems, had deemed humanity too dangerous to join galactic society. Their reasoning was laid bare in clinical detached language. Species demonstrates exceptional adaptability and aggressive advancement in technological capabilities. Predictive models indicate 89.4% probability of surpassing current Alliance capabilities within 1,000 years of contact. Recommendation: indefinite quarantine. Emily watched in horror as the records detailed millennia of manipulation. The burning of the Library of Alexandria, orchestrated to destroy accumulated knowledge. The Dark Ages, artificially prolonged. Key scientists throughout history, their breakthroughs subtly sabotaged. Even the Cold War had been quietly influenced to keep humanity focused on pointing weapons at themselves rather than looking to the stars. "Dr. Sullivan," Cooper's voice seemed distant. "Your vitals are spiking. Should I terminate the connection?" "No," she managed, forcing herself to continue downloading the data. "Contact Novaterra immediately. Security clearance Omega. Tell them." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Tell them we found proof of the great betrayal." As the final files transferred, Emily's hands clenched into fists. The Alliance hadn't just denied humanity its birthright among the stars. They had actively worked to keep humans divided, weak, and ignorant. For 3,000 years, they had played God with human civilization, all while maintaining their facade of superiority. The crystals light dimmed as the transfer completed. Emily disconnected her neural link, her mind racing with the implications of what she'd discovered. Humanity had suspected alien interference in their past, but the truth was far worse than anyone had imagined. "Cooper," she said, her voice steady despite the rage building inside her, "what we found here changes everything. The Alliance didn't just quarantine us. They betrayed the very principles of civilization they claimed to uphold." She looked up at the Martian sky through the chamber's ancient opening, imagining the Alliance worlds that lay beyond, still ignorant that their greatest fear had already come to pass. Humanity had reached the stars despite their efforts, had built colonies and fleets in secret, and now they had proof of the crime that had been committed against them. "Send a second message to command," Emily ordered, her eyes still fixed on the stars. "Tell them the day of revelation is coming sooner than planned. The Alliance needs to learn that their greatest mistake wasn't quarantining humanity. It was giving us 3,000 years to prepare our response." Admiral Jack Morrison stood at the viewport of the HFS Nightshade, watching as his stealth fleet maintained formation around the Alliance mining operation. 30 human warships, each a masterpiece of cloaking technology, hung invisible in the void above what the Alliance had designated Resource World 2317. But Morrison knew its true name: New Providence, one of humanity's first extrasolar colonies. "Status report," he commanded, his augmented eyes tracking the movements of Alliance harvester ships below. "Their sensors remain blind to our presence, sir," Lieutenant Rebecca Hayes responded from her tactical station. "Quantum signature masking is holding steady at 99.8% efficiency. They have no idea we're here." Morrison nodded, his weathered face reflecting in the transparent steel. At 63, he'd spent more than half his life commanding humanity's hidden fleet, watching from the shadows as the Alliance continued their grand charade of superiority. Every year, they sent survey ships to Sol, checking on their quarantined species, never suspecting that humanity had broken free centuries ago. "Sir," Hayes called out, tension evident in her voice. "New contact. Alliance patrol cruiser dropping out of FTL. Classification: Sentinel class. Show me." The holographic display shifted, showing the sleek Alliance vessel emerging from hyperspace. It was larger than their typical patrol ships, bristling with scanning arrays. Morrison's jaw tightened. Sentinel-class vessels were equipped with the Alliance's most advanced detection systems. "They're initiating a full-spectrum scan of the mining operation," Hayes reported. "Sir, their new quantum resonance detector might be able to pick up traces of our drive signatures if they get within 50,000 kilometers." Morrison weighed his options. The Nightshade's battle group could easily destroy the Alliance forces, but that would force humanity to reveal itself before they were ready. 3,000 years of preparation couldn't be thrown away because of one patrol. "Additional contacts," Hayes announced. 2 more Sentinel-class vessels approaching from different vectors. "This isn't a routine patrol, sir. They're searching for something. They've detected anomalies from our colonization efforts," Morrison realized. "Helm, begin silent withdrawal. All ships maintain quantum signature dispersal. Lieutenant Hayes, prepare a data burst for Novaterra. Priority Alpha." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, their neural bridge implants allowing them to coordinate with near-perfect synchronization. Morrison had handpicked each of them, knowing this day would eventually come. As the fleet began its careful retreat, Morrison's neural link chimed with an incoming priority message. His eyes widened as he processed the data streaming directly into his consciousness. "New orders from command," he announced. "Dr. Sullivan's team on Mars has discovered proof of the Alliance's manipulation. 3,000 years of evidence, documented in their own records." He paused, letting the implications sink in. "The timetable has been accelerated. Operation Phantom Dawn is now authorized." A surge of controlled excitement rippled through the bridge. They'd all trained for this moment, but few had believed it would come in their lifetime. "Sir," Hayes interjected, "the Sentinel ships are adjusting course. Their scan pattern will intersect with our withdrawal route in 6 minutes." Morrison smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Then it's time to give them what they're looking for. Signal the fleet. Initiate Protocol Ghostlight." Throughout the battle group, 30 ships activated technology that had been specifically designed for this scenario. Their quantum drives began emitting carefully calibrated energy signatures, just enough to be detected, but bearing all the hallmarks of natural phenomena. "Alliance vessels are taking the bait," Hayes reported. They're interpreting our signatures as quantum wake echoes from passing dark matter streams, adjusting their search pattern accordingly. Morrison watched as the Alliance ships veered away, chasing shadows that his people had spent centuries learning to cast. Humanity's greatest advantage wasn't their technology or their neural augmentations. It was 3,000 years of watching their jailers, learning their patterns, and preparing for the perfect moment to strike. "Send word to all colonial outposts," he ordered. "The time for hiding is almost over. Soon, the Alliance will learn that their quarantine didn't contain us. It forced us to become something far more dangerous than they ever imagined." As the Nightshade and her battle group slipped away into the darkness, Morrison thought of all the generations that had lived and died maintaining humanity's secret. Their sacrifice had bought time. Time to build, to learn, and to prepare. Soon, he whispered to himself, very soon. Dr. Thomas Reed stood behind reinforced glass, watching as the neural bridge recipients began to stir. 20 volunteers lay in reclined chairs, their neural implants pulsing with a soft blue light that reminded him too much of the Alliance technology that had killed his family. 15 years ago, an Alliance containment operation had vaporized his wife and daughters while they slept, their deaths labeled as a reactor malfunction. Neural synchronization at 98.9% across all subjects, announced Dr. Karen Martinez, his lead assistant. "Brain activity is incredible. I've never seen patterns like these." Reed leaned forward, his own neural bridge prototype humming at the base of his skull. This was the culmination of his life's work, a way to process information that would make humanity's minds evolve beyond anything the Alliance had ever seen. "Begin the test sequence," he ordered. Holographic projections materialized in front of each volunteer, complex mathematical equations, engineering schematics, and alien language patterns that would typically take years to master. Reed held his breath, watching as the subjects opened their eyes. "Sir," Martinez gasped, "they're all solving the equations simultaneously. Not just solving, they're optimizing them, finding connections we never programmed." The volunteers moved in perfect synchronization, their augmented minds working through problems at impossible speeds. One of them, Sarah Williams, raised her hand. "Dr. Reed," she called out, her voice steady despite the streaming data. "I can see the flaws in the Alliance's quantum matrix designs. Their ship's neural networks are primitive, inefficient." Reed's heart raced. "Show me." Williams gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show Alliance ship schematics, classified data that had been stolen at great cost. Her fingers danced through the air, highlighting and modifying systems with casual expertise. "Their quantum processors still operate on binary principles," she explained, her eyes glowing with augmented insight. "But with the neural bridge, we can process in quantum superpositions. Their most advanced AI can't match what we can do instinctively now." Another volunteer, Michael Chen, spoke up. "Dr. Reed, I'm seeing patterns in their communication protocols. We could bypass their entire encryption system. Their security is based on mathematical principles that we've already evolved beyond." Reed watched in awe as his volunteers, ordinary people chosen from different backgrounds, began to unravel and improve upon technologies that had taken the Alliance millennia to develop. The neural bridge wasn't just enhancing their processing speed. It was fundamentally changing how human minds interacted with information. Suddenly, alarms blared through the facility. Martinez's hands flew across her console. "Energy spike. The neural bridge network is generating some kind of quantum resonance field. Alliance sensors in the outer system are activating," announced the security officer. "They'll detect this signature if we don't shut down." Reed gripped the edge of his console. "No, we're not shutting down. Route power through the quantum dampeners. This is too important." "Sir," Martins protested, "if they detect us." "They've already detected something," Reed interrupted, "but they don't know what they're seeing." He opened a neural link to the volunteers. "All of you, focus on the resonance pattern. Don't fight it. Understand it. The volunteer's eyes closed in concentration. On the monitors, the quantum readings began to shift, changing frequency and amplitude until the signature is masking itself. Martins whispered in disbelief. They're actually manipulating quantum fields through pure thought. Reed smiled grimly. This was more than he'd hoped for, more than he'd dreamed possible. The neural bridge wasn't just a tool for processing information. It was the key to humanity's evolutionary leap. His family's killers had unwittingly pushed him to create something that would bring down their entire empire. "Send word to Admiral Morrison," he ordered. "Tell him the neural bridge is ready. And tell him," he paused, watching as his volunteers continued to unravel the mysteries of the universe with casual ease. "Tell him we've become something new, something that the Alliance's worst nightmares never prepared them for." The Alliance had spent 3,000 years trying to keep humanity down. Now, they would learn the price of their arrogance. The Alliance dreadnought Eternal Vigilance dropped out of hyperspace above humanity's secret shipyard in the Proxima Centauri system, its crew confident in their superiority. High Commander Zextal stood on his command deck, mandibles clicking in anticipation of an easy victory over whatever primitive human vessels they detected. That confidence lasted exactly 6 seconds. Across every sensor screen, every tactical display, and every viewing port, ships materialized from seemingly empty space. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. The human defense force had finally lifted its veil, and the sight froze the alien commander's blood. "Impossible," Zextal whispered. "Their quarantine was perfect. We monitored." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted. They're everywhere." Similar reports coming in from across Alliance space. Human vessels are appearing simultaneously in over 3,000 systems. Aboard the HFS Retribution, Admiral Morrison allowed himself a small smile. "Open a channel to the Alliance vessel," he ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." Lieutenant Hayes complied, and Morrison's image appeared on every screen aboard the Eternal Vigilance. "High Commander," he said pleasantly, "I believe this is what you'd call a paradigm shift." Before Zextal could respond, alarms blared throughout his ship. "Our weapons systems are activating on their own," the tactical officer screamed. They're being redirected. Everything is targeting our own engines." "Shut them down," Zextal ordered. "I can't. The commands are coming from inside our own quantum matrices." Aboard Retribution, Lieutenant Hayes reported with clinical efficiency, "Neural bridge interface complete, Admiral. We have full control of their systems. Their quantum encryption might as well be primitive binary code to us now." Morrison nodded. "Show them what one human corvette can do." The smallest ship in the human fleet, barely a fifth the size of the Alliance dreadnought, broke formation. Its neural bridge-enhanced crew reached out with their augmented minds, seizing control of the dreadnought's quantum matrices. Complex alien security protocols crumbled before human consciousness, operating at unprecedented levels. "A demonstration." Morrison's voice echoed through the Alliance ship. "Watch carefully." The corvette's energy signature suddenly shifted, becoming an exact mirror of the dreadnought's own quantum frequency. In response, the Alliance vessel's systems began to cascade. Quantum fields collapsed, shields inverted, and weapon systems went dark. 3,000 years, Morrison continued conversationally. 3,000 years you kept us caged, thinking we'd remain your primitive cousins forever. But isolation breeds innovation, and oppression breeds determination. Similar scenes played out across Alliance space. Human ships appeared above their capitals, their shipyards, their most secure facilities. Each demonstration was different but equally devastating. Some ships phased through impenetrable shields. Others turned Alliance weapons into useless light shows. A few simply shut down entire defense networks with a thought. "Status report from all theaters," Hayes announced. "Operation Phantom Dawn proceeding as planned. 87% of Alliance military assets are now under our control. No casualties on either side." Morrison's expression remained neutral, but satisfaction gleamed in his eyes. Send the second phase signal. Throughout Alliance space, human ships began broadcasting data packets containing proof of the 3 millennium quarantine. Every alien citizen, every member species, every corner of their empire simultaneously learned the truth about humanity's imprisonment. Your choice was made 3,000 years ago. Morrison addressed not just the Dreadnought now, but all Alliance forces. You chose fear over fellowship, oppression over opportunity. Today, we show you why that was the greatest mistake in your history. He gestured, and the Corvette released its hold on the Dreadnought. Power returned to normal, but Zextal and his crew remained frozen, watching as similar scenes unfolded across known space. We could destroy you, Morrison concluded. But instead, we're going to do something far more terrifying. We're going to fix what you broke. The galaxy is about to change, High Commander. The only question is whether you'll be part of that change, or another relic of the past that couldn't adapt. The message ended, leaving Alliance crews everywhere staring at their tactical displays, watching as humanity's ghost fleet maintained its perfect formation. 3,000 years of superiority had just been shattered in less than an hour, and the galaxy would never be the same. Colonel Amanda Hayes stood in the rain on Kepler 186f, watching as the crystalline beings known as the Lumini emerged from their underground cities for the first time in 2,000 years. Their bioluminescent forms cast rainbow patterns through the droplets, a display of joy that needed no translation. The Alliance said we were too unstable. The Lumini Elder communicated through patterns of light. That our ability to manipulate quantum fields through our crystalline forms made us too dangerous to join galactic society. Hayes nodded, her neural bridge implant translating the light patterns instantly. They feared what they couldn't control, just like they feared us. Her strike team had disabled the Alliance quarantine satellites around Kepler 186f in less than 5 minutes. The supposedly impenetrable energy barrier that had kept the Lumini planet bound for millennia had crumbled before humanity's enhanced understanding of quantum mechanics. Strike Team Avalon reporting in. Her neural comm crackled. Sector 7 liberation complete. The Nexus have been freed. You won't believe this, Colonel. They're natural quantum computers. The Alliance kept them imprisoned because they could interface directly with any technology. The Eternal Guard is working. Another voice chimed in. Every species we free joins the cause. The Nexus are already helping us crack Alliance systems we couldn't touch before. Hayes touched her command interface, bringing up a galactic map in her augmented vision. Dozens of points of light showed successful liberations. The Lumini, the Nexus, the gaseous void dancers of Barnard's star. The silicon-based Lithians. Each species brought unique capabilities that the Alliance had feared and suppressed. Colonel, her XO, Major Richardson, approached. You need to see this. We found their assessment archives. The Alliance didn't just quarantine these species, they actively sabotaged their development. The Lumini were on the verge of developing organic quantum computing. The Nexus had nearly achieved collective consciousness, all of it destroyed. Hayes felt her jaw tighten. The scope of the Alliance's crimes grew with each liberation. Show me the next target. The map zoomed in on a red dwarf system. The synthetics of Ross 128, Richardson explained. A machine civilization that achieved consciousness naturally. The Alliance shut them down, forced them into dormancy because they were unnatural. Ready Strike Team Phoenix, Hayes ordered. And send word to Dr. Reed. Tell him we're going to need specialized neural bridge interfaces for each species we free. It's time they all got the chance to reach their full potential. As her orders went out, Hayes watched the Lumini beginning to rebuild their quantum communication arrays, technology that had been denied to them for 2 millennia. Their crystalline forms pulsed with increasingly complex patterns as they relearned their ancestral capabilities. Your people, the Elder communicated, you understand what it means to be caged. To be told you are too dangerous to be free. Yes, Hayes replied, thinking of humanity's long isolation. We understand. That's why we're not just freeing you. We're giving you the tools to ensure you'll never be caged again." Her neural bridge hummed as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Nexus were already upgrading human quantum systems, their natural computational abilities enhancing the neural bridge network. The Void Dancers had joined human stealth fleets, their gaseous forms allowing unprecedented sensor coverage. The Lithians were sharing crystal computing techniques that would revolutionize human technology. The Alliance sought to keep us divided and weak. Hayes addressed her gathered strike teams through the neural network. Instead, they created the very coalition that will end their regime. Every species they feared, every civilization they tried to suppress. Together, we become something they never imagined. Above, the first Lumini ships in 2,000 years rose into the rain-swept sky, their crystalline hulls refracting rainbows across the clouds. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy as ancient chains fell away and long-dormant powers awakened. The Alliance had created their own worst nightmare, an alliance of the oppressed, led by the very species they had failed to keep down. And Amanda Hayes, known now across dozens of worlds as the Lockbreaker, was just getting started. The Alliance High Council chamber on Centaurus Prime was considered the most secure location in known space. 27 layers of quantum shields, temporal barriers, and phase-locked gates protected the gathered representatives of the galaxy's civilized species. No unauthorized being had ever breached its defenses, until today. Dr. Michael Barnes materialized in the center of the chamber, causing pandemonium among the assembled council members. He straightened his simple black uniform, the only indication of his species a small earth patch on his shoulder. "Please, remain seated," he said calmly, his neural bridge translating his words into all 23 Alliance languages simultaneously. "If we wanted you dead, you wouldn't have seen us coming." High Counselor Vexra, the massive Drachnid who led the Alliance, rose from his crystalline throne. "How dare you violate this sacred chamber? Guards!" Barnes raised an eyebrow as the elite Guardian force charged forward, only to freeze in mid-motion, their advanced weapons turning to dust in their hands. "The time for pretense is over," Barnes announced, his voice carrying an authority that silenced the chamber. With a thought, he activated the Council's holographic systems, filling the air with documents, videos, and data streams. 3,000 years of lies, laid bare for all to see. The images showed Alliance ships over ancient Earth, secret operations throughout human history, carefully orchestrated interventions that had kept humanity planet-bound. But more damning were the predictions, the real reason for humanity's quarantine. "You weren't afraid we were too violent," Barnes continued, walking through the frozen guards. "You were afraid of this." He gestured, and new projections appeared. The original Alliance assessment of humanity's potential. Species assessment. Humanity. Projected development timeline. Year 1000 post-contact. Quantum manipulation surpasses Alliance capabilities. Year 1500. Consciousness expansion beyond current sentience models. Year 2000. Potential evolution into higher dimensional state. Recommendation: immediate quarantine. Species shows unprecedented adaptation rate. "We found this in your sealed archives," Barnes explained, watching realization dawn on the council members' faces, along with something even more interesting. Another document materialized, the results of humanity's original contact evaluation. "We passed," Barnes said softly, but his words echoed like thunder. "We passed every test you had. Ethics, cooperation, technological responsibility, cultural stability. We exceeded your standards in every category. But you couldn't accept that, could you? Couldn't accept that a primitive species might one day surpass you." "It was necessary," Vexra growled, "for the stability of the galaxy." "Don't," Barnes cut him off. "Don't pretend this was about stability. This was about power, about control." He walked to the Council's central data core, placing his hand on its surface. "Would you like to know what else we found? Your other victims, The chamber filled with new images, dozens of species, each quarantined for showing too much potential. The Lumini, the Nexus, the Void Dancers, all condemned to isolation for the crime of being capable of growth. But you made a crucial mistake. Barnes continued. You gave us time. Time to develop in ways you never imagined. Time to become something beyond your comprehension. To demonstrate, he interfaced directly with the Council's quantum systems, his neural bridge-enhanced mind flowing through their most advanced technology as easily as breathing. Barriers fell, secrets unveiled themselves, and 3 millennia of carefully maintained control crumbled. Humanity doesn't want revenge, Barnes announced to the stunned Council. What we want is far more terrifying to you. Change. Real change. The kind you've been preventing for 10,000 years. He gestured, and the chamber's defenses reactivated, but now they answered to him. The galaxy is evolving, Council members. You can evolve with it, or you can become extinct, not through violence, but through irrelevance. The choice is yours. The silence that followed was deafening. 3,000 years of lies had been exposed in less than an hour, and the mighty Alliance Council found itself facing something they had never expected. The future they had feared, wrapped in the very thing they had tried to prevent. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the tactical display as the Alliance's last-ditch assault force emerged from hyperspace. 50 dreadnoughts, each carrying enough firepower to sterilize a planet, surrounded Earth in a perfect sphere of destruction. They're desperate, Lieutenant Hayes observed, her hand steady on the tactical controls. All ships are charging their Nova cannons. They mean to end humanity rather than accept change. Morrison's lips curved into a slight smile. And that's exactly why they lost 3,000 years ago. He opened a neural link to Dr. Reed's laboratory. Doctor, are we ready for the demonstration? Neural bridge network is at full power, Reed replied, his voice calm despite the apocalyptic weapons aimed at humanity's homeworld. All volunteers are synchronized. We can proceed whenever you give the word. Morrison nodded, then broadcast on all frequencies. Alliance Command, this is Admiral Morrison. Before you make your final mistake, we'd like to show you something. Please, fire when ready. Confusion rippled through the Alliance fleet. Their commanders had expected begging, threats, or at least defensive preparations. Instead, Earth's orbital defenses remained powered down, its shields dormant. Human madness, snarled Fleet Commander Zextal from his flagship. If they wish to die with such arrogance, we shall oblige. All ships, fire. 50 Nova cannons discharged simultaneously, their combined energy enough to crack a planet's crust. The beams converged on Earth, a spectacle of destruction visible across the solar system. But they never reached their target. Halfway Earth's atmosphere, the energy beams transformed. The deadly radiation twisted, folded, and reshaped itself, the fundamental forces of the universe bending to human will. Where there had been planet-killing weapons, there was now a display of light more beautiful than any aurora, dancing harmlessly around Earth's equator. Impossible, Zextal whispered. No technology can. This isn't about technology. Morrison's voice cut through the Alliance command channel. This is about understanding. Your weapons just taught us new things about quantum string theory. Thank you for the data. Throughout the Alliance fleet, systems began to shut down, not through hacking or force, but through fundamental changes in the laws of physics within their ship's domains. You see, Morrison continued, while you were trying to keep us down, we weren't just building better ships or weapons. We were learning to speak the universe's language. Your quarantine forced us to look deeper, think bigger. The neural bridge isn't just a tool. It's the key to understanding reality itself. To demonstrate, he nodded to Dr. Reed. Across Earth's surface, thousands of neural bridge users reached out with their enhanced minds. Alliance sensors watched in disbelief as quantum fields shifted, probability waves collapsed in impossible ways, and the very fabric of space-time rippled like water. Your weapons, Reed explained, his voice joining Morrison's broadcast, still operate on principles you discovered millennia ago. But we've learned that the universe isn't just about particles and energy. It's about possibility, potential. The things you feared we'd discover, we found them centuries ago. The Alliance dreadnoughts hung powerless in space, their mighty weapons reduced to abstract mathematical concepts that humans now understood better than their inventors. Here are our terms, Morrison announced. Earth will oversee the formation of a new galactic council, not through force, but through merit. Every species you quarantined will have a voice. Every civilization you suppressed will have a chance to reach its potential. He paused, letting the implications sink in. We could destroy you, could have destroyed you the moment we revealed ourselves. But humanity has learned something in 3,000 years of isolation. True power isn't about destruction. It's about creation, growth, change. The Alliance ships remained silent, their crews watching as the transformed energy of their weapons continued to dance around Earth, a testament to how far beyond them humanity had evolved. The galaxy is changing, Morrison concluded. You can help shape that change, or you can be remembered as the last remnant of an age of fear. Choose wisely. We'll be watching. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Concordat stretched across what had once been the Alliance High Council chamber. But where the old chamber had been built to intimidate, the new hall celebrated unity and diversity. Crystal columns created by the Lumini cast rainbow light across the gathered representatives of over 100 species. Quantum interfaces designed by the Nexus allowed instantaneous translation and communication. The gaseous void dancers floated near the ceiling, their ethereal forms adding an almost mystical atmosphere to the proceedings. Admiral Morrison stood at the back of the hall, watching Dr. Barnes present the final draft of the Concordat Constitution. The document was a testament to everything humanity had learned during their long isolation, not just about technology, but about justice, growth, and the true meaning of civilization. 3,000 years ago, Barnes addressed the assembly, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. The old Alliance made a choice based on fear. Today we make a different choice, one based on hope, on potential, on the belief that every species has the right to reach for the stars in their own way. Colonel Hayes, now General Hayes, stepped forward with the Lumini Elder. Together, they activated the Quantum Archive, displaying the histories of all quarantined species, not as a reminder of past wrongs, but as a testament to survival and growth. We preserve these records, Hayes announced, not to maintain anger, but to ensure we never repeat the mistakes of the past. Every species here has a unique story, a unique path. That diversity isn't a threat. It's our greatest strength. Dr. Reed, his neural bridge interface now more advanced than ever, initiated the Concordat's first official act. Across the galaxy, the last remnants of the quarantine systems deactivated permanently. The borders that had divided species for millennia dissolved, replaced by open channels for trade, cultural exchange, and mutual growth. The neural bridge was just the beginning, Reed explained to the assembly. Each species here has unique insights, unique capabilities. Together, we're not just sharing technology. We're sharing ways of seeing the universe itself. He gestured, and the hall's quantum field shifted. The Lumini's crystalline consciousness merged with human neural bridge networks, while Nexus quantum processing enhanced both. The Void Dancers added their understanding of dimensional physics, creating something entirely new, a true synthesis of multiple species perspectives and capabilities. Former High Counselor Vexera, now serving as a regular representative, rose to speak. We feared what we did not understand. The massive Drachnid admitted. We saw difference as danger, potential as threat. Humanity. He paused, mandibles clicking in what had become recognized as a gesture of respect. Humanity showed us a better way. Morrison stepped forward then, joining Barnes at the central podium. The Concordat isn't about replacing one power with another, he declared. It's about ensuring no species ever faces isolation or suppression again. Earth doesn't want to rule. We want to grow, to learn, to explore alongside all of you. The assembled representatives watched as the final article of the Constitution was displayed. No species shall be denied the right to advance, to explore, to reach their full potential. The diversity of life is sacred, and the growth of one enriches all. Dr. Emily Sullivan, who had first discovered the truth in Mars' ancient chambers, stood with her hand on the activation crystal. 3,000 years of history had led to this moment. With this act, she announced, we don't just end an era of fear, we begin an age of wonder. The Constitution was ratified unanimously. As the quantum fields pulsed with the combined consciousness and celebration of 100 species, Morrison looked out at the assembled races, former prisoners and former jailers, all now equals in a new age of exploration and growth. 3,000 years, he whispered to himself, worth every second. Above Earth, the transformed energy of the Alliance's last attack still danced in the aurora, but now it was joined by the light of thousands of ships from dozens of species, all coming together not in fear or dominance, but in the spirit of true civilization, the desire to grow, to learn, and to reach for the stars together. The age of quarantine was over. The age of wonder had begun.